We are on to week 3 of our voyage through the Disney universe. This week we start with the Kilimanjaro safaris at Animal Kingdom Park at Disney World. The open-air vehicle ride is an 18-minute journey through an African savanna with animals that roam free. It doesn't look like there are barriers, so it looks like the animals are coming right up next to you. However, there are natural barriers that Disney engineers have built into the landscape. So when you enter Harambe Wildlife Reserve, visitors will encounter about 34 species of animals as they traverse across 110 acres of simulated African landscape. Hippos, lions, giraffes, cheetahs, crocodiles, rhinos, elephants, hyenas, zebras are just some of the animals that can be seen along the way. So where is the real Kilimanjaro? Kilimanjaro National Park is located in Tanzania, Africa. Mount Kilimanjaro rises above the surrounding plains, which are host to many of the same animals mentioned on the Disney ride. The mountain is the highest in Africa, as well as one of the highest volcanoes in the world. The national park is one of the most visited places in Africa, with tourists flocking to its amazing diversity in terrain, as well as all the flora and the fauna, so all the animals and plants that you can see there. It really gives you an idea of the savanna landscape in Africa. So let's turn our attention back to North America and the O Canada show in the Canadian Pavilion at Epcot's World Showcase. O Canada is a 360-degree circle vision movie that is set up similarly to the film in China that we've talked about. Now, footage in the Canada film includes popular Canadian sights and sounds, places in Toronto, Calgary, Montreal, Vancouver, Niagara Falls. So while Canada itself is a large country area-wise, it's relatively small population-wise, especially when you compare to how much area it has. There are only 36.9 million people that live in Canada. Ottawa is the capital city, and the main languages of the country are English and French. In part of the country, they speak primarily French. Now, while Canada used to be under the direct control of Britain until about 1867, it's now its own country. But interestingly, Queen Elizabeth II is still considered the Queen of Canada and head of state, although she wields no real authority over the laws of the land. So northern Canada falls into the Arctic regions, while the southern parts of the country are relatively temperate, a little bit more like the northern United States. Now, the indigenous people of northern Canada are called Inuit. A lot of times when I was growing up, people called them Eskimos, but that really isn't a preferred term to use anymore. And while the Inuit live in modern houses, they still actually do build igloos for hunting purposes. And most of the Canadian population actually lives within 125 miles of the U.S.-Canada border. So most people live in southern Canada. The temperatures, the climate, it's just not that conducive to big cities in the north. The Haunted Mansion ride at Disneyland is our next stop. This version of the Haunted Mansion is different in that its setting is in New Orleans. So riders embark on a silly, ghoulish journey in their own what they call doom buggies after first entering through the garden of an antebellum Southern mansion. The dark ride features technology including a large host of audio animatronics, and if you've ever ridden the ride, you know it's not meant to be scary. It's kind of a silly, scary type of ride. Now, the real New Orleans is a city located in Louisiana. The city was named after the Duke of Orleans, who reigned as regent for Louis XV. The city was established by French colonists and was strongly influenced by their European culture. So, located along the Mississippi River, New Orleans has a long steamboating history and is famous for its beautiful French Quarter and the February Mardi Gras celebration, and as well as many of the delectable dishes that you could find. It's a mix of like French, Creole, Spanish, African, Cajun, and Cuban influences in the food and in the culture. Besides Disneyland having the Haunted Mansion ride set in New Orleans, you also have the French Quarter Resort at Disney World that you can visit. The city was also the birthplace of jazz and the home of a distinctive brand of rhythm and blues, so it is really one of the most visited cities in the U.S. Our next ride is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, one of my favorites. It's a mine train style coaster. It's located in the Frontierland section of many of the Disney parks. The storytelling that accompanies this ride centers on gold discovery in the American Southwest and the extensive trains that are set up to transport the ore back and forth. So at some point in this, the settlers' treatment of the surrounding mountain causes great tragedy. In some parks it's supposed to be an earthquake or a flood, which then causes the mining towns to become abandoned, and locomotives begin inexplicably racing around the mountain on their own. So therein lies the magic of the ride. Locomotives careening through the mountain and the canyons with no engineer. Now, the southwestern United States includes states such as Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, sometimes included that Utah, Nevada, Colorado, parts of California, and Oklahoma. The landscape contains rugged mountains, there are colorful canyons, large desert areas. The climate is generally mild and dry with hot summers. There are many old mining areas and flora and fauna such as sagebrush, coyotes, rattlesnakes, lizards, bighorn sheep are common sights. So if you've ever been to that part of the country, or if you live there, you know that the climate is relatively dry and that it is a very, very beautiful part of the country. Our next stop is the beautiful island state of Hawaii. We are stopping here to learn about a unique beachfront Disney property, Aulani Disney. The word Aulani actually means messenger of the chief in the Hawaiian culture. You can enjoy the magic of Disney with the beauty and traditions of Hawaii. Water sports, golf, beaches, Disney kids activities, pools, spas, restaurants, and a lot of little hidden Disney touches have made Aulani a popular destination since opening in 2011. Hawaii itself was the final state admitted to the Union in 1959. The largest city and capital city is Honolulu, and the total population of the state is around 1.5 million. Kamehameha became Hawaii's first king in 1810, and the islands continued to have royal rulers until the 1880s, when they became a U.S. territory and finally a state in 1959. It's actually the world's largest island chain and the only U.S. state made completely of islands. The Hawaiian Islands are volcanic islands, and there are active volcanoes. Hawaii is known for its beautiful beaches. The beaches are of varying colors, and there are lots of recreational activities that people like to enjoy in Hawaii. Thousands of species of trees and plants adorn the islands with an abundance of native birds. The hula is a traditional Hawaiian dance telling stories through movement, and luau's are Hawaiian feasts accompanied by entertainment. One of the biggest tourist attractions in the state is Pearl Harbor, the site of the Japanese attack on American forces that led to the U.S.'s entrance into World War II. Now, our last stop this week is an Adventures by Disney destination. Adventures by Disney is a Disney signature experience travel service that provides guided tours for families or couples in domestic and international locations. The service was first introduced in 2005, and it's since added dozens of trips on 6 continents. Every Adventure by Disney trip includes special experiences, unique itinerary stops to make the trip, like a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So the Australian Adventures vacation encompasses special events such as a guided tour of the Sydney Opera House, a day living the life of an Australian cowboy at a sheep farm, complete with a barbecue dinner, stargazing in the outback, a camel ride through the desert at sunrise, snorkeling in the Great Barrier Reef, crocodile adventures, and learning to throw an Aboriginal boomerang. So while there isn't a Disney park in Australia, this is about the closest that you're going to get to a Disney product in Australia. So, what do we know about Australia? For one, it is a country, but also considered a continent. Sometimes the continent is called Oceania. It includes different island chains in addition to the country of Australia. The population of the country is about 23 million, and there are many more inhabitants in the unique animal life that is are indigenous to Australia, like kangaroos, koala bears, platypuses, echidnas, just to name a few. So Australia has a warm, sunny climate. It lends itself to a booming tourist industry. Many people come to see the sights of Sydney, the Great Barrier Reef, Ayers Rock, and the Outback. So Australia is actually one of my bucket list places. I would love, love, love to visit Australia someday. It's definitely a place that I would like to go. So that concludes week 3, our week 3 places that we are visiting. Continue to work on your projects. I've really enjoyed what I've seen so far. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. If you have any questions, please send me a message. You can send me a message on OutSchool or send me an email at learningcreationsclass@gmail.com. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.